Hello everyone. From a series of lectures for antihypertensive agents, today I am going to discuss lecture 5. In previous 4 lectures, we have seen about the introduction to hypertension and antihypertensive agents, then classification of antihypertensive agents. In classification of antihypertensive agents, we have seen that they are classified mainly into 4 classes. First one is drugs acting on sympathetic system. Second one is vasodilators. Third one is drugs acting on renin-angiotensin system. And fourth one is diuretics. Right? First lecture, drugs acting on sympathetic system has been discussed. Then second class is vasodilators. In vasodilators, again 2 classes, subclasses. First one is direct vasodilators and second one is calcium channel blockers. So in previous lecture, direct vasodilators has been discussed. So in today's lecture, I am going to discuss about calcium channel blockers from the class vasodilators. So just realizing the things about the vasodilators. Vasodilators are the antihypertensive agents that cause the vasodilation through relaxation of vascular smooth muscles. These drugs cause the relaxation of vascular smooth muscles and that will lead to the dilation of the blood vessels, that is vasodilation. These drugs cause the dilatation of arterial vessels that will lead to the reduction in systemic vascular resistance and which leads to fall in arterial blood pressure. Right? These vasodilators cause the dilation of the arterial blood vessels. Right? That's why they reduces the vascular resistance or peripheral resistance within the arterial vessels, and that's why decreases the blood pressure into the arteries. Then dilatation of venous vessels decreases the venous blood pressure. Vasodilators also cause the dilation of the venous blood vessels, and that's why that will lead to the decrease in the blood pressure within the veins. They do not affect the force of contraction and heart rate. As I said in previous lectures that cardiovascular system has 2 main parts, heart and vasculatures. Right? Heart and vasculature, that is system of blood vessels. So these vasodilators have not effect on the heart. Right? These vasodilators have not effect on the heart. That's why they do not affect the functions or reaction related to the heart, that is the force of contraction, heart rate as well as cardiac output. Right? They only affect the blood pressure within the vasculatures or only affect the function of the blood vessels. They do not affect the heart or related functions. There are different or various mechanisms which are available for the relaxation of the vascular smooth muscles. So they are responsible for the relaxation of the vascular smooth muscles. Right? Main 4 mechanisms are given. First one is inhibition of the alpha-1 adrenoreceptors. That's why that will inhibit the IP3 induced release of calcium ion. Second one is potassium channel opening. Third one is calcium channel blocking. Fourth one is release or formation of nitric oxide. Just summarize each mechanism. Inhibition of alpha-1 adrenoreceptors, that will inhibit the IP3 induced release of calcium ion. IP3, it is the secondary messenger inositol triphosphate. IP3, full form of IP3 is inositol triphosphate, and it is the secondary messenger which produces the corresponding effect or response in response to the stimulation or inhibition of the G protein coupled receptor. Here, normally what happens when alpha-1 adrenoreceptors get activated, then it will cause the stimulation of the inositol triphosphate, that is IP3, and that stimulated IP3 cause the release of calcium ion from the sarcoplasmic reticulum of the cell, right, which is part of smooth muscles, right. So that will lead to the increased concentration of the calcium ion within the cell, and as we know that increased concentration of calcium within cells lead to the contraction of the smooth muscles. Here it happens in the vascular smooth muscle, that's why it causes the contraction of the vascular smooth muscles, right, and cause the vasoconstriction, that is nothing but the vasoconstriction, and that will lead to the increase in blood pressure, that is because of the increase in peripheral resistance. But when these alpha-1 adrenoreceptors are inhibited, right, by the blockers, alpha receptor blockers, then inhibition of this alpha-1 adrenoreceptor causes the inhibition of IP3 induced release of the calcium ion, and that's why decreases the concentration of the calcium ion within the cell, right. That's why what happens, decreased concentration of the calcium ion within cell lead to no concentration or no vasoconstriction, ultimately lead to the relaxation of the vascular smooth muscles, and that's why vasodilation. Next one is potassium channel opening. When potassium channel get opened, that cause the efflux of the potassium ion from the cell. Efflux, that means entry or transport of the ion from inside cell to the outside cell. Intracellular to extracellular movement of the ion known as the efflux. Right? So here when potassium ion channel get opened, then that will increase the efflux of the potassium ion from the cell. Right? When extracellular concentration of the potassium ion increases, that will lead to the hyperpolarization of the membrane of smooth muscles. So membrane get the hyperpolarized. When membrane get hyperpolarized, that will lead to the closing of the voltage sensitive calcium ion channel, which is present in the membrane, right. This calcium ion channel also present within membrane, right, that is a transmembrane channel. So when membrane get hyperpolarized, this channel is the voltage sensitive, right. According to changes in the voltage of the membrane, they get opened or closed. So here when membrane get hyperpolarized, this voltage sensitive calcium ion channel get closed, and that's why that will inhibit the entry of the calcium ion within the cell. That will lead to the decrease in concentration of the calcium ion within cells, right. That will lead to the less activation and phosphorylation of the MLCK, that is the myosin light chain kinase enzyme, and this enzyme is responsible for the conversion of myosin to the activated myosin, that is phosphorylated myosin, right. For that, this MLCK have to be converted into the phosphorylated MLCK, that is MLCKP, myosin light chain kinase phosphate, right. Then and then this MLCK or phosphorylated MLCK only catalyze the conversion of myosin to the phosphorylated myosin, right. This MLCK itself, it is inactive. When it get phosphorylated, it get activated, right, and this activated MLCK, that is MLCKP, convert myosin to the myosin P, that is myosin phosphate, and then myosin phosphate, that is activated myosin, can bind with the actin and cause the contraction. But here what happens, due to less availability of the calcium ion within cell, that is this MLCK cannot get phosphorylated, cannot get activated, and that's why they cannot activate the protein myosin. Protein myosin and actin are involved into the muscle contraction, as you know that, right? So this MLCK cannot phosphorylate the protein myosin, right? Cannot activate the myosin protein, and that's why myosin cannot bind with the actin, and that's why no contraction. Ultimately lead to the relaxation of the vascular smooth muscles and cause the vasodilation, right? These are the important basic mechanism. That's why I am revising here, right? Next one is calcium channel blocking. Drugs that block the calcium ion channel, that block the movement of calcium ion across membrane of myocardium and vascular smooth muscles, right? That's why decreases the concentration of the calcium ion within the cell. As we know that decreased concentration of the calcium ion lead to the less activation and phosphorylation of the MLCK, right? And if MLCK cannot be phosphorylated, then that will not activation of the myosin protein, right? And if myosin protein is not activated, then it cannot bind with the actin protein, and that will lead to no contraction, right? So inhibition of the vasoconstriction, that is the relaxation of the vascular smooth muscles, and that will lead to the vasodilation. Then release and formation of the nitric oxide, right? Some agents releases the nitric oxide by its degradation within the body, or cause the formation of the nitric oxide, right? Or some release this nitric oxide from the endothelium, right? This generated nitric oxide bind with the protein receptors, and it trigger the formation of the cGMP from guanylyl cyclase. cGMP, that is cyclic GMP. Guanylyl cyclase is the enzyme which is responsible for the conversion of the GTP to the cyclic GMP, right? And this increased concentration of the cyclic GMP inhibit the activation of the MLCK to the MLCK phosphate, right? Because of inhibition of this conversion, MLCK-P, that is activated myosin light chain kinase, cannot be produced, right? And that will lead to the inhibition of the activation of the myosin protein, and that will lead to the inhibition of the vasoconstriction. So ultimately lead to the relaxation of the vascular smooth muscles and cause the vasodilation. And vasodilation lead to the or help to decrease or lower the blood pressure. Here just revising the classification of the vasodilator. Vasodilator are divided into two class, direct vasodilators, and the second one is the calcium channel blockers. Direct vasodilators have again different three subclasses. First one is arterial dilators, second one is the balanced vasodilators, and the third one is the arterial and venous dilators, right? This class direct vasodilators has been discussed in previous lecture. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the calcium channel blockers. Calcium channel blockers can be classified on the basis of the chemical structure. Dihydropyridine, which have the dihydropyridine structure. Next one is diphenyl alkylamine. Third one is the benzodiazepines, and fourth one is the diaminopropanol. Now, what is calcium channel blockers? These are the antihypertensive agents which cause the inhibition of the movement of calcium across the myocardial and smooth muscle cells. That is through the blockage of the calcium ion channel, right? These are the antihypertensive agents that cause the blockage of the calcium ion channel, and that's why cause the inhibition of the movement of calcium ion across the cell membrane of myocardial and vascular smooth muscles. This calcium ion and calcium ion channel play an important role in cardiovascular system, right? As we see mechanism for the vasodilation, right? In almost all mechanism, there is some role of the calcium ion ultimately affect the calcium ion concentration to the vasoconstriction, right? So calcium ion and its transport channel play the important role in the CV system. Now, in heart cells, some specialized heart cells are available, right? And these specialized heart cells are automatic and conducting cell of the heart. Right? What type of specialized heart cell? Automatic and conducting cell of the heart. What is the function of this type of specialized heart cells? These cells regulate automaticity and conduction velocity, right? Then this effect is regulated by the calcium, right? In specialized heart cells, automatic and conducting heart cells, what is the role of calcium? Calcium regulates the automaticity and conduction velocity, right? Whereas in myocardial contractile cell and coronary and systemic arteries, calcium regulates contractility, right? So when in specialized heart cells, when calcium ion concentration increases, it increases the conduction velocity, that will lead to the increase in heart rate and cardiac output, right? Where in myocardial contractile cell and coronary as well as systemic arteries, when calcium ion concentration increases, it will lead to the vasoconstriction, right? And decreased concentration of calcium ion lead to the vasodilation. Sorry. Then these calcium channel blockers are developed to inhibit the movement of calcium across membrane of myocardium, thereby block impulse formation, that is the automaticity, and inhibit conduction velocity as well as contraction, right? So inhibition of conduction velocity and contraction lead to the decrease in the peripheral resistance as well as heart rate, and that will help to lower the blood pressure. These agents have therapeutic utility in angina, arrhythmias, hypertension, and other cardiovascular disorders, right? So it is very important class, calcium ion channel blockers. It is very important class which is again revised into anti-anginal drug, arrhythmic drugs, right? So it is the wide therapeutic utility, right? They do not cause fluid retention. As other vasodilators, calcium ion channel blockers do not cause the fluid retention, right? That's why they can be used equally effective alone for the treatment of mild to moderate hypertension, right? First class of calcium ion channel blockers, dihydropyridine derivatives, right? The drugs from this class have the common chemical structure, that is dihydropyridine, that is the reduced pyridine ring, right? They are the potent dilator of peripheral and coronary arterial vessels. They are used in hypertension as well as in angina pectoris. They are slightly selective towards vascular versus myocardial cells. That means they are more selective towards the blood vessels as compared to the myocardial cells, that is the heart cells. They possess insignificant electrophysiological and negative inotropic effects. they have no significant effects on the heart, right? Sometimes it causes the insignificant effect like electrophysiological, that is, and negative inotropic effect that is related to heart, that is the automaticity and conductive velocity of the heart cells, right? So sometimes it produces the negative inotropic effect on the heart. They have no significant effect on the heart, right? They are majorly act on the blood vessels rather than heart. Examples are nifedipine, amlodipine, felodipine, nicardipine and nimodipine. Now, structure-activity relationship of the dihydropyridine derivatives. See the general structure of the dihydropyridine derivative, right? Here at 1 and 4th position, addition of the hydrogen is done, right? That is the reduced pyridine ring at the 1 and 4th position. That's why it is 1,4-dihydropyridine ring. See the simple pyridine ring. It is the simple pyridine ring. In this ring, at first that is nitrogen, and at the 4th to this nitrogen atom, 2 position are get hydrogenated. That is, addition of the hydrogen is done at these 2 position. That's why it is known as the 1,4-dihydropyridine, right? And in this 1,4-dihydropyridine ring is essential for the optimum activity, right? So it is the minimum requirement for the optimum activity of calcium ion channel blockers from this class, right? Uses of oxidized piperidine ring or reduced pyridine ring system greatly decrease or abolish the activity, right? Only 1,4-dihydropyridine ring is essential for the optimum activity. Now start the different points related to the substitution on this ring. First one is R1. R1 should be unsubstituted, that is the substitution on the nitrogen atom. R1 should be unsubstituted. If it carries any group, then that group can be easily or readily cleared off within the body, right? If we prepare the substitution at the nitrogen, then this substitution is the type of which can be easily removed, within the body. That means it should be like prodrug, right? Which is inside the body, get metabolized and converted into active form. Okay? Then R6, ortho position to the nitrogen atom, right? R6 should be lower alkyl group, especially methyl group, right? And it is the optimal substitution for the maximum activity, right? When at the R6 position, lower alkyl group and especially methyl group is present, then compound is optimum, have the optimum activity. Okay? Next one, R2. See here at R6, one ortho position, R2 is second ortho position to the nitrogen atom, right? So R6 is lower, should be lower alkyl group, especially methyl group for the optimum activity. Now R2, it also should be lower alkyl group, right? Sorry. And replacement of this R2 group with basic amino ethyl side chain renders molecule more potent, right? Produces the molecule with more potency. Right? If here small alkyl group is present and if it is replaced with the basic amino ethyl ether group, then compound with this side chain amino ethyl ether side chain is more active as compared to compound with alkyl group. Example is amlodipine. See the example comparison of this point. This drug is the nifedipine, in which at second position what is present? Methyl group, simple methyl group is present, and second structure is of amlodipine. In amlodipine at second position here amino ethyl ether side chain is present. Amino ethyl CH2CH2O, that is ether, right? So amlodipine is more potent as compared to nifedipine, right? It is the evidence of this justification of this point, right? So compound with the lower alkyl group, for example methyl, is less potent as compared to compound with the amino ethyl ether side chain at the second position, right? So amlodipine is more potent as compared to the nifedipine. Next one is the related to R2 again. If at the R2 position hydrogen or aryl group is present, then activity of the compound will drop, right, or decrease. So it should not be hydrogen or aryl group present on R2 or at the R2. Then R3 and R5. R3 and R5 position should be alkoxy carbonyl group, right? At the R3 and R5 group, it should be alkoxy carbonyl group, right? And it provides the optimal activity. Other electron withdrawing group decreases the antagonistic activity and show the agonistic activity, right? R3 and R5 with alkoxy carbonyl group provide the maximum calcium channel blocking activity, that is the antagonistic activity, right? If this alkoxy carbonyl group is replaced with other electron withdrawing group, then activity, antagonistic activity will decrease and agonistic activity will increase, right? Alkoxy carbonyl group is also electron withdrawing group, right? But other electron withdrawing group other than alkoxy carbonyl group is replaced, then antagonistic activity will decrease and agonistic activity will increase. For example, isradipine. See in structure. In isradipine, here alkoxy carbonyl group is present, OCH3, that is example of alkoxy methoxy group, right? Methoxy carbonyl group is present, right? And this isradipine is the calcium channel blocker, right? It produces the calcium channel blocking action, while this compound, which is denoted by a code PN202.791, that means it is under the investigation or under the clinical trial. So here what is changed? In place of this methoxy carbonyl group, other electron withdrawing group, that is nitro group, is substituted, right? And just by doing these minor changes, effect of the compound can be changed. See, this compound produces the calcium channel agonistic activity, right? It acts as a calcium channel agonist. That means it can open the or stimulate the calcium channel, while this isradipine causes the blockage of the calcium channel, right? So antagonistic activity is maximum with the alkoxy carbonyl group at R3 and R5, that is at the both meta position, right? See here, at both position, this one is also alkoxy group, right? This one is carbonyl group, alkoxy carbonyl group at the both side, right? And here one alkoxy carbonyl group is replaced with another electron withdrawing group. Then R4, it is the para to the nitrogen atom, and at R4 phenyl group is optimum for the activity, right? If at R4 position phenyl ring is present, then compound shows the optimum activity, that is the calcium channel blocking activity, right? Other substitution like non-polar alkyl group or cycloalkyl group, right? decreases the activity, right? Non-polar alkyl group and cycloalkyl group will decreases the activity, while heteroaromatic ring, for example, pyridine, produce similar activity but show the animal toxicity, right? So, phenyl ring is optimum for the activity. In place of phenyl ring, if non-polar alkyl group or cycloalkyl group is substituted, then antagonistic activity will decreases. And if heteroaromatic ring is substituted, for example pyridine, then it will produces the same action, but that compound also shows the toxicity, right? Then if at R4 monosubstituted benzenoid nucleus is present, that is the phenyl group, right? See here 1, 2, 3 and 4th position from this nitrogen atom, one phenyl ring is present, right? So in this phenyl ring, again another substitution on this phenyl ring affect the activity of the compound, right? If in R4 monosubstituted benzoin nucleus, first see here, this X shows the substitution on this ring, and it attached like from the nucleus, it shows the either it may be present is at ortho, meta or para position, right? So if this substituent present on ortho position, right, that is ortho substituted compound, then it is the more active one, right? If this substituent present at the meta position, then this meta substituted compound is less active. And if this substituent present on the para position, then this para substituted compound is inactive, right? So when this 4th phenyl ring is again ortho substituted, then it provides the maximum activity, right? Meta substituted compound has the less activity and para substituted compound is inactive. Next class of the calcium channel blocker is diphenylalkylamine. Example is verapamil. Right? Structure of the verapamil has been discussed into the classification, during the classification. Verapamil is a potent coronary vasodilator that lowers the coronary vascular resistance and increase myocardial blood flow. Right? It is less active than the dihydropyridine derivatives. Next class of calcium channel blocker is benzodiazepines. Example is diltiazem. This drug decreases peripheral resistance and arterial blood pressure by blocking the calcium ion channel. Its major metabolite, that is desacetyl diltiazem, also act as potent vasodilator, right? It which is also potent vasodilator, right? In see the structure of diltiazem, 2 carbons are starred, that is denoted by the star, which are the chiral center, right? So in this diltiazem, chirality is produced, so its LIGO isomer is more active than other isomers, right? LIGO rotatory form of diltiazem is more active as a calcium channel blocker, right, than other isomers. Now, mechanism of action of calcium channel blockers, right? As we know that these agents block the calcium ion channel, and that's why decreases the intracellular concentration of the calcium ion, and that's why that will lead to the decrease in the vasoconstriction and peripheral resistance, and ultimately lead to the decrease in blood pressure, right? See how it binds to the calcium ion channel. L type of calcium ion channels are composed of alpha 1, alpha 2, beta, delta and gamma subunits, right? So there are different 5 subunits of the L type of calcium ion channel. Out of them, alpha 1 subunit acts as a binding site for these agents. Right? So, drug calcium ion channel blockers bind with this alpha 1 subunit and block the entry of calcium ion inside the cell. So that is lead to the reduction in the concentration of calcium ion within the cell, that will cause the relaxation of vascular smooth muscles and vasodilation. Right? So it will lead to the decrease in the peripheral resistance inside the blood vessels, and that's why decreases the blood pressure. Right? It helps to lower the blood pressure to the normal level. So these drugs are useful for the treatment of or for the management of mild to moderate hypertension condition, as well as to manage the condition of angina pectoris and arrhythmias. Right? So that's why these drugs are used as antihypertensive agent, anti-anginal agents, as well as anti-arrhythmic agents. Thank you.